Yo, what is going on, Nitrocytes? It is your boy, the Nitro General here, and welcome back to another video. Now, in the last video I made a couple days ago, I talked about the fact that I am actually going to Pokemon VGC Regionals in May, which is a lot earlier than I really wanted to go, but it being so close to where I live, I had to go. Now I may not win any matches. I may win a few matches. I don't think I'm gonna make it to the next part, but it's just fun. Great learning experience, stuff like that. When this will be my first like real competitive thing that I've done in my life. So this will be the real test to see how good I actually am. Which I'm not really that good, but at the same time, I just want to test out a lot of my strategies against people who I know are actually competitively battling too. So my hair will just not stay right today. So really, what I wanted to do in this video, fitting the whole competitive trend that I have been doing in the last few videos that I've made, is that I'm going to be doing another top 5. And in today's video, as the title suggests, I'm going to be going over my top 5 favorite Pokemon to use competitively. Now, these Pokemon may or may not make it onto my regionals team, and they might not all be. I think all of them but one is actually going to be in Sword and Shield. So the one that's coming in at the number 5 spot, which is one that a lot of people sleep on, I think, but I won't be able to use, but I've used it quite a bit in previous games. So hopefully it will be available in more games, and maybe it'll be available in the DLC, but in either fall or June, so I'm hoping. But yeah, so coming at the number 5 spot is a Pokemon that I feel is slept on a lot, and that is Beedrill. Now, Beedrill is such a cool Pokemon. I love Beedrill. It's got an awesome shiny, and its Mega is super cool. One of my favorite Mega evolutions is Mega Beedrill. Now, Beedrill is regular Beedrill is nice to use competitively, but nowhere near as well as Mega Beedrill. So I'm going to be going over, regular Beedrill first. And I guess I could go over them at the same time, because basically the same things apply to Mega Beedrill that apply to regular Beedrill. It's just the fact that they're a lot more amped up. So the fact is that Beedrill is really fast. Like, it is like blinding. It is fast, but its Mega is like blindingly fast. And it's not the most bulky Pokemon. It's one of those like glass cannons, you would say, where you just go in, hit a couple hard attacks, stuff like that, and then it goes down. It's not a setup Pokemon. It does get access to spikes, and it does get access to toxic spikes. And toxic spikes is a fantastic move. And I usually run toxic spikes on my Mega Beedrill rather than just regular Beedrill, because Mega Beedrill obviously can take a little bit more hits than regular Beedrill can. So if you go in with just regular Beedrill, you want to be going for an attack rather than setting up. But with Mega Beedrill, you can run Toxic Spikes, you can run Agility, which are the only really set up moves I would be running on Mega Beedrill, because again, it fairly hits hard. I don't think it gets Swords Dance, but it might. I've never run Swords Dance on it. Usually when I go Mega Beedrill, I go Toxic Spikes, Agility, Poison Jab, and Twin Needle. Or either Twin Needle or X-Scissor. I can't remember if it gets X-Scissor or not. But Twin Needle's not a great move. But at the same time, it gets a stab bug type move that, can hit hard against Psychic type Pokemon. And grass type Pokemon too. So there is that. And then Poison Jab is just a really nice physical poison type move. Now, on regular Beedrill, I usually go for Poison Jab, Venoshock, Twin Needle, and then probably Toxic. Just because, actually, either Toxic or Toxic Spikes, because I know I said I usually don't run toxic spikes on Beedrill, but if it is going to go down and you think it will outspeed the Pokemon, then it is nice just to toxic the Pokemon before it goes down or whatever it is. And plus, if it does get poisoned by Poison Jab or toxic spikes, whatever, Venoshock does like 120 power, because it's like I could be wrong. I think it's 60 base power, maybe, and then doubles its attack if it's poisoned. So a lot of times when you know that the Pokemon is poisoned, you use Venoshock and it's going to be doing this absurd amount of damage. So I really, really think Beedrill is slept on a lot of the time because people think it's so bad of a Pokemon. And it's not fantastic, but if you run speed on this Pokemon, EVs and IVs invested into speed and its defenses, it's got a decent attack stat, and its Mega has a pretty good attack stat. I don't have it right in front of me, so I don't know what the base is. I probably should have looked that up before this video, but I didn't. So it's just, I love Beedrill, and I think it's one of my favorite Generation 1 Pokemon, and one of my favorite Pokemon to use competitively. And I definitely think that in the right situation, Beedrill it might not be a sweeper, but it definitely could do some damage, and especially because a lot of people sleep on it, and that's the thing. They don't think Beedrill is going to do good, send it in, it does a lot of damage, catches them off guard, and they're just like, wow, Beedrill does a lot more than I thought it was going to do. And that's really my situation with using Beedrill. It's just to catch a lot of people off guard. So that's why coming in the number 5 spot is Beedrill. Coming in up at the number 4 spot is another spot that I use quite a bit, but it's going to include a group of Pokemon, and that is the Eevee evolutions. That's why. I'm not going to put a bunch of Eevee evolutions in this, because all the Eevee evolutions are good in certain situations. You have like bulkier ones like Umbreon and Vaporeon, and then you have more offensive ones like Jolteon and Espeon and Sylveon. I mean, obviously, I think Sylveon's the best because of its Pixelate ability. So once you get it really in there, if you guys didn't know, Pixelate turns all normal type moves into fairy type moves. So basically, if you send it out and you use Hyper Voice, which is a really good attack, it turns into a stab fairy attack. So you just go in there, Hyper Voice, you're gonna be doing a lot of damage. But you have a lot of Eevee evolutions could be good in certain circumstances for defensive and stuff like that, like Vaporeon and Umbreon. Like I said, I think Espeon's a little bulky, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But a lot of the Eevee evolutions are really good offensive too. I don't see Flareon a lot in the competitive scene, and I don't see Espeon a lot in the competitive scene, or Leafeon or Glaceon. Most of the time, the Eevee evolutions that you see are Vaporeon, Jolteon, Umbreon, and Sylveon are the 4 that you really see in the competitive scene. But the other ones can be just as good. I saw a full Eevee Evolution competitive team when I was battling competitively, and I beat them, but at the same time, they did do a lot of damage. And the Eevee Evolutions are some of my favorite Pokemon, and I definitely think they got a lot more popular with Pokemon Let's Go Eevee, and that kind of dropped them in my favorites a little bit, just because Eevee is still one of my favorite Pokemon. I love Eevee. It is adorable, which I'm thinking about doing a top 5 cutest Pokemon video at some point. But it's just adorable, and it evolves into just super, super cool Pokemon. And even though it has gained a little popularity and everybody uses it now, it just kind of seems like, well, no, I don't quite like it as much because it is just so widely used. But I still love the Eevee evolutions, and they're just really good to use competitively. That's just the bottom line. Is that I mean, in a lot of, I think Sylveon and Jolteon are the most widely used. I see a lot of Jolteons in competitively, but Sylveon is definitely you see a lot competitively. So they're just really cool. Now I am kind of hoping we do get another Eevee evolution in the DLC, but at the same time I don't think we will. But maybe Galarian Eevee, that would be kind of cool. Oh god, I don't think they would do that. Galarian Eevee, because then they'd have to do unless they just did Galarian Eevee and not the Eevee evolution, because otherwise they'd have to do Galarian evolutions for all of the EV evolutions, which would kind of be cool. But yeah, so that is why coming in at the number 4 spot is all the EV evolutions except for Eevee, because Eevee's not really good competitively. But I mean, you can use it competitively, but I think it gets like Baton Pass maybe, but I don't even think you can set up with that. But yeah, so coming out at the number 3 spot is another Pokemon that is going to include a group of Pokemon. And if the EV evolutions were included, then you guys probably know a Pokemon that is widely seen in the competitive scene as one of the best Pokemon to use. You know, I've seen them used at Worlds, I've seen them used at regionals, everywhere, and that is Rotom. Now, Rotom, the little regular Rotom thingy, the light bulb one, is not used as much. The most you see is Rotom Wash and Rotom Heat. And at first I was like, you know, for the longest time I actually thought Rotom was a legendary Pokemon. But it's just one of those Pokemon that you get like once in every game up until Sword and Shield. And then people are like, oh no, you can breed for... And then I'm like, oh, maybe it's not legendary. And then you look at the Pokedex, and it's definitely not a legendary. It's just a Pokemon that you get once in a game. I always thought that if you get one of a certain Pokemon in a game, then it's probably a legendary. But it's not. But Rotom is fantastic. And the fact is that it's got, I think 5 forms. You got Fan Rotom, which is flying. You got Wash Rotom, which is water. You got Heat Rotom, which is fire. Frost Rotom, which is ice, and Mow Rotom, which is grass. And then you have the regular Rotom, which is just electric. Or ghost, I think. They all retain their electric. And they all get the ability to levitate too, which is really nice. So Rotom Heat cannot be hit by Earthquake or any ground type move that is super effective against it. So that's pretty nice too. Actually, Fan Rotom, which is flying, also gets the ability to levitate, which really doesn't matter to it because it is a flying type. I mean, I don't know I think levitate makes it so you don't get hit by like stealth rocks and stuff, but other than that, I mean, it already gets an immunity from ground type moves with the the flying typing. So so most of the time you see Wash Rotom and Heat Rotom, but again, they can hit hard and they're decently bulky, so you run like Protect on them, and then whatever their move is, I think Overheat for Heat Rotom, Blizzard for Frost, Hurricane for Fan, Leaf Storm for Grass, and Hydro Pump for Water, I think it is. And you can't teach them any other moves like that. The only moves that they get when they change their typing are those moves, so you're going to want to keep those moves on them. But they're just, you know, nice to go in there and do a lot of damage. They're really good in double battles. I really think that when I see that, I think that when somebody sends out a Rotom in a double battle, a lot of times people don't go for the Rotom. They go for a different one, the other Pokemon that's sent out. And I don't quite understand why, but probably because usually the other Pokemon is better than the Rotom. But Rotom can do a lot of damage in the right situations. And depending on how your team is set up, Rotom can just be extremely good, and that's why coming in with the number 3 spot is Rotom. And I definitely highly suggest that if you guys are starting off on a competitive team, one of the best beginner competitive Pokemon is Rotom. I mean, it's just such a good Pokemon. It's a cute little thing, and yeah. So yeah, coming in with number 3 spot is Rotom. Now coming in at the number 2 spot is another Pokemon that I've talked about on this channel. I was going to put it at the number 1 spot, but yeah, the first 4 aren't really in any specific order, but I didn't want to put my favorite, I didn't want to put this guy at number 1 because it really is only good because of one thing, and that's why I didn't want to put it at the number 1 spot. But, so these first 4 Pokemon that I've talked about are in no specific order, but the number 1 is my favorite Pokemon to use competitively. So coming in at the number 4 spot is Dracovish. Now, I explained this in more detail in a video that I made a month or so ago, going over, called why you have to use Dracovish in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which was right around the time that people were discovering Dracovish. So if you guys want to go check that out, go check that out. Should not be way too many videos ago, that I made. But basically, Dracovish gets a move called Fish's Rend that if it hits first, doubles its damage. And I think it's like I don't even know what the base power is, but it doubles its damage if it's fast. So you run Scarf on Dracovish, and it's double the damage if you outspeed. You're going to be outspeeding pretty much all the new Pokemon except for Dragapult. But so you run that on it, and then it gets Strong Jaw, which powers it up even more, and it's a stab water type move, so it powers it up even more, and that's not even applying the super effective damages that you get on it. So it can I'm pretty sure it's got like a 360 base power with a Strong Jaw Dracovish, like Strong Jaw, yeah, max speed Dracovish. It does like 360 without the special attack, the special attack or the super effective damage applied to it, which is just amazing. So you really send out Dracovish, and honestly, you can sweep teams with Dracovish if they have anything that outspeeds Dracovish, a Scarf Dracovish, I mean, like a max speed Scarf Dracovish. I think mine is Adamant that I use just because I want to power up Fish's Rend more. But if you have a max speed one, it's probably going to be outspeeding anything. And if you set up sticky webs on the other side and then you send in Dracovish, you're pretty much going to be outspeeding anything. And it can just sweep teams. I mean, Wolfie VGC did a video going over it that probably is a lot better than I did. Andy, right now, he's in the WBE, which is a competitive Pokemon competition set up by PokeTuber A-Drive, which is a superb YouTuber that I'm really hoping I meet at the regionals. So if you guys haven't checked him out, you should. If you're watching me, then you should definitely check him out because he's way, way, way better than I will ever be. But it's basically set up by him, and they draft certain Pokemon to use, and Wolfie got Dracovish, and yesterday was the second week, so it's their second battle, and he did so bad at the beginning of the match, and then just swept with Dracovish, and it's just insane. And if you guys haven't used Dracovish, I highly suggest it. It's just awesome, and I couldn't make this top 5 without putting in the Pokemon that I think has the highest damaging move in the entire game. Could be. So, I mean, yeah, so Dracovish comes up at the number 4 spot. So coming in at the number 5 spot, I don't know if I've mentioned this Pokemon on the channel before. When I was doing the generations for I don't remember what generation. I think it's generation 4, I think it was. When I was doing the tier list, I did talk about this, and I did say that is my favorite Pokemon to use competitively, but it really is. And chances are this Pokemon will be on my regionals team, but yeah. So coming in at the number 5 spot, number 1 spot, in my favorite Pokemon to use competitively out of any Pokemon ever created is Gastrodon. I love Gastrodon. It's not one of my favorite Pokemon, but it is just fan-frickin-tastic. It's got a water ground typing, which means that it is literally immune to electric, which is super effective against water, which means that the only typing that it is super effective against it is grass, which is 4 times. But grass is the most widely used typing in competitive, and a lot of Pokemon don't run grass type moves. But when you have Gastrodon, or when you think you're going up against Gastrodon, you have to have a grass type attack. If you have a water type Pokemon, Gastrodon can be switched in against water type attacks because it gets the ability Storm Drain, which basically makes it so when you use a water type attack, it just doesn't affect it. So if you're using a water type attack, Gastrodon can be switched in, and that is something you always have to watch for when going against Gastrodon. Plus, it is so bulky, like insanely bulky. I don't understand how. But I've used it so many times, so when you're battling and you're fighting against a Gastrodon, it takes a lot of hits to kill. And then it also gets access to Recover, which is a fantastic move. So when you don't have any health, just recover back up and you can take more hits with Gastrodon. It is insane. And it gets Earthquake, and it gets Scald, and it's just a fantastic Pokemon. And I love using Gastrodon so much just because it's just It's just, I just think it's a tank. And a lot of people, I think, sleep on Gastrodon, and it's just my favorite Pokemon to use competitively. If you guys disagree, go ahead, but really, if you don't have a counter for Gastrodon, there is a good chance that it could beat your team if you don't have a Grass-type move for Gastrodon. And being so bulky, if it's not a stab Grass-type move, then it probably is not going to be doing half. But, yeah, right now I'm actually, while I'm waiting for Pokemon Home to come out, I am actually playing through Pokemon Platinum, and I'm using a Gastrodon on my team because I don't think I've ever used, actually, I think I've used Gastrodon once, and I think I caught it as a Gastrodon. I didn't even use a Shellos. I don't think I've ever used a Shellos and evolved it into a Gastrodon in any Pokemon game. Really. I mean, I've used it before in Pokemon, I playthrough, but never, like, but I always caught it as a Gastrodon. I never, like, got it at, like level 10 or something like that as a Shellos, and leveled it up to a Gastrodon and then used it because, I don't know, but I've used Gastrodon so much competitively that I'm just like, I want to use it in a game and see how good it actually is. But, yeah, so that's why coming in at the number 1 spot, and my favorite competitive Pokemon of all time is Gastrodon. And if I had to pick one, I'd pick EC because I really like the blue and the yellow and the brown rather than the pink and the yellow and the brown. But either way, either one's fine with me. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below. Subscribe if you are new. I make videos like this all the time. I got some tier list videos coming out. I am going to be releasing another video on replicas soon. I just haven't had a lot of time to sit down and record one of those. So, yeah. But other than that, guys, that is it from me. I really, really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hit that bell. But other than that, guys, that is it from me. So, Nitrogeneral out. Peace.